Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk. And we have an incredible amount of betting information coming your way. Baseball playoffs are in full swing. A lot of drama. It never ends. Adam Trigger is coming on right off the bat, and he's got a bet for you all on the Tigers and the Guardians and the Phillies and the Mets. Wow, the Mets pitcher was on fire last night. Kyle Anthony, he's got two bets for us in the UFC. And if you've never heard Kyle Anthony talk about the UFC, stay with us, guys. Kyle is absolutely freaking rolling in this sport. Came on last week, gave out nothing but winners. And he's got two UFC bets. We're going to end the show with Art DiCesare. We're going to go through what happened last week in the NFL and college football and where the money is coming this week and who does he like in both sports. Teddy covers. What is your big game breakdown?
Big game breakdown. Friday night national TV college football action. Northwestern at Maryland. We'll break that one down. And then what bettors learned, we'll talk about right sides and coin flips and differentiating between the two. Lawrence?
Guys, I will have a daily presidential address. You people pick. What game do you want me to take apart in NFL? The game has to go on Sunday. It could be any one. Let me know which game you would like me to pick. Nice to see all you guys in the chat room. Natural 8, you must be thrilled. It is not Trash Talk Tuesday anymore. Adam Trigger joining us. And congratulations on an outstanding baseball playoffs, man. What have you won, 5 in a row?
Yeah, 5 in a row coming into today. And that's across MLB and KBO. So 4 of them are MLB. I think I've hit both of my KBO playoff bets. So the playoffs in general, baseball-wise, are going great. But we'll be going for 6 in a row. Hopefully 7, actually. I added a play, and I'm going to give it out on this show, a 4%er. And then I've got a 5% play going tonight, Major League Baseball, that I love. And it's up on my page now, so you should check that out.
I talk about people's fashion sense on a regular basis. I think that color is amazing, and it looks great on you. Okay, Tigers.
Thanks,
and Guardians.
Go ahead.
Basically a pick 'em. Well, you don't need a blush, dude. I'm not that handsome. I'm an old, decrepit man. I just complimented the color of your jersey now. That's it. Okay. Where are we going in this Tigers-Guardians game?
Yeah, so 3 months ago, two or 3 months ago on First Pitch, we talked about the Guardians extensively. And I said, they couldn't get to the playoffs and trot out like Ben Lively, Carrasco, Logan Allen, Tristan McKenzie, guys that they had used for a lot of starts and guys that had accumulated a lot of wins during the regular season. And they're not doing that, but I don't really like the alternative here for them. And, I played against Matt Boyd in game 2. I got a win with the Tigers. I'm coming back with the Tigers in game 3, and I'll start with the pitching for the Guardians as one of the reasons why. So, Alex Cobb this will only be his 4th MLB appearance of the year. Just his 4th appearance in a big league game this season. He had hip surgery in the offseason. He had a nerve issue in his shoulder, and then he had a finger blister. So he hasn't stepped on a big league mound since September 1st. He hasn't pitched in the postseason since 2013. He's 37 years old. I mean, he's had some flashes of being good this year, but Prez, that's not a big enough sample size for me to think that he's going on the road here in a Tiger Stadium, first playoff game in 10 years. It's going to be a great atmosphere and getting a win. On the other side, I love AJ Hinch. And, you're going to have a bullpen game here with the Tigers. I think they've gotten discounted in the market for that quite a bit, if you've looked at like what the numbers have been in the playoffs. But the best person in that Tigers dugout that's in uniform today, without a doubt, is AJ Hinch. And I think he gets, discredited a little bit for what happened in Houston. But this guy's the best manager in baseball right now, in my opinion. And I trust him to put his pitching together to set up the Tigers for a win here like he's done pretty much all season. So he's going to start with Keider Montero here. That's probably going to be, an opener type scenario. I don't think he's going particularly deep. I think Hinch likes the matchup at the top of the lineup for a right-handed pitcher. So maybe you see Montero for 1, maybe 2 innings. And then I expect it to be Herter, who's been really good. Left-handed pitcher. I expect him to pitch the bulk innings here. But the point I want to make, Prez, is Hinch just knows when to push the buttons. He knows that he handles this pitching staff as good as any manager that I've seen in Major League Baseball or in baseball at any level this year. And I just trust him to push the right buttons again here. So even though you've got this great Guardians bullpen at the back end of this game, I still think the Tigers could get something off of Cobb. And I just trust Hinch so much more. First playoff game in Detroit in 10 years. The atmosphere is going to be great. Tigers took up some of that momentum from game 2 with that big 3-run blast in the 9th inning. I think it carries over to a Tigers win here.
So I got to ask you, Adam. I mean, the game's priced at pick'em, or near pick'em. When we talk about these two teams, they feel pretty even.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it? I mean, this to me feels like the ultimate pick'em game, And the next one you're going to talk about is pretty similar. But how is this game not a coin? I mean, you talk about the edges for Detroit. Are they big enough that Detroit legitimately should be favored in this game? As in minus 125, minus 130, minus 140. Is this a line value equation here where Detroit should be chalk?
I don't necessarily think they should be chalk, Teddy, but here's the way I look at it. If you're going to give me Detroit at minus 105 or wherever I played this game, and it's still there, minus 105, minus 108, maybe minus 110 places, I'm getting the home team, okay? Postseason, it matters. I think it matters in spots. I'm sure, if you looked at long-term data, I don't know, if you look at the last 5 years, what it suggests, but I think the crowd might matter here. First playoff home game in 10 years for the Tigers. You're giving me the team that just sort of grabbed the momentum in game 2, but not only did they take the momentum, Teddy, they now know they can beat Emmanuel Clase, which is huge from a confidence standpoint. And knowing that if he comes into the game again, they just got to him last game. I really think that's important given how dominant Clase has been this season. And then it's just AJ Hinch. I thought there was one boss that operated at a different level in Detroit. I thought it was Johnny Detroit, but there's two. The other one is AJ Hinch. Guy is just on another level, managing his staff, and I think he gets it done for the Tigers today.
Impressive, Adam Trigger. Johnny Detroit got in the middle of that analysis. So, Ad, let's turn our firstly, just totally off topic slightly. Who in baseball has decided to make these best of threes, best of fives? Do you know how much money you're leaving on the table not running best of sevens? What is wrong with you people? Seriously, this is not rocket science. The NBA does it. The NHL does it. The money is in the playoffs, Major League Baseball. And not only that, but there's no extra salary to the players in the playoffs. Why are you shortening the playoffs, you idiots? Okay, let's get into the Phillies and the Mets. Must-win game.
If you want to know the answer to that question, no, let's not leave it there. The reason that they're shortening the playoffs, they've actually expanded the playoffs significantly over the last 2 decades, giving more rounds. But you have a 162-game season, all right, which
That's
MLB
stupid.
has not been willing to reduce, which means the postseason doesn't start till October, and you can't schedule playoff games for mid-November. So you got a window. And that's where they're fitting all the playoff series into, is the window called October. So there's your answer.
I get it.
Adam, let's talk about the next game, Mets-Phillies.
Oh, so I can't respond
right now, look at the WagerTalk free live odds screen. Mets have taken a little bit of money this morning, minus 115 currently at most books. I'm even seeing minus 120s out there. Total 7.5, juice to the under. How do you break down Philadelphia and New York? East Coast battle. Crucial Game 3 showdown.
So, Teddy, I want to start with something you said in the last breakdown, because I think it really is important to point out. These do feel like sort of coin flip type series. When you're talking divisional rivals, divisional opponents, Guardians, Tigers, Phillies, Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Padres. There's so much familiarity here that it does feel like a coin flip at times in terms of the matchup. Whereas I found that enough to get me to the window with the Tigers, I'm sort of just leaning to the Phillies here for two reasons. One, I'd be willing to oppose some of that Mets money and take a plus price if I was forced to bet this game. But two, I think there might be a little hidden value with the Phillies and how they're gonna approach this game. So Rob Thompson, Phillies manager, after Game 3, said everyone is available, which is not an uncommon statement from a manager going into an elimination game. Basically, what he's telling you is it's all hands on deck. We don't win tomorrow, the season is over. But what that means, I think, for the Phillies here is that it's going to be Ranger Suarez to start and maybe Christopher Sanchez after him, which I don't hate. That adds a little bit of value, in my opinion, to the Phillies. And the other thing I like about Suarez, who's going to start this game for the Phillies, is I think the time off that he's had from his last start to this playoff appearance is really going to help him. He looked very fatigued at times post All-Star break. So, of course, he was an All-Star, pitched out of his mind in the first half. First 17 starts of the year, 10-2, 2.27 ERA. I mean, he was borderline unhittable in April, and he really just fizzled out down the stretch. I'm very confident in saying that was fatigue-related, and so I do like the fact that he hasn't pitched since the 27th of September. Against the Mets this year, he's got a 2.30 ERA in 3 starts, so I like that as well. And again, you're talking about very, very minor edges in a very close matchup in a coin flip type game. Those things matter, especially when the market's going to push this thing one way, and now you can get a plus price on the Phillies, who, I still think they're the better of these two teams, even with the Mets' recent success. The other thing I like about the Phillies here, I think I'm selling Jose Quintana at his absolute peak. Last 7 starts, he's got a 0.64 ERA. I don't see how that could possibly get any better. He's been awesome, but again, like at some point, we've seen Quintana for years and years. He's probably going to trend in the other direction, and I just think that this is getting priced with him at his absolute peak here. What I'll be waiting to see for in this game is what Thompson does in his lineup. I'm hoping he shuffles the lineup a little bit, because I've said this all season with the Phillies. Their starting lineup is not overly optimal to face left-handed pitching. We saw that yesterday. Manaea kind of shut them down. I'll look to see if Weston Wilson is in the lineup. He's raked left-handed pitching all year, and that might get me to the window on the Phils. But just for argument's sake here, in this game, Phillies plus money makes a lot of sense to me.
So how much of this is Philadelphia facing elimination? Of course, I said that wrong introducing the game. The Mets have the 2-1 lead. Phillies facing elimination tonight. Last year, they faced one elimination game in the postseason, and they lost it. Does that hang over their heads here?
Teddy, I believe they've lost their last 4. Someone would have to fact check me on that. I think they've lost like 4 elimination games in the row in the playoffs. And on the flip side, I believe the Mets have lost 4 straight series clinchers at home. So I don't know what you can make out of that, right? Like, Mets have a hard time clinching at home. Phillies have struggled in these elimination games. Neither bullpen has been great. Do you want either of these bullpens with the game on the line right now? I don't. Both have given up high leverage runs in this series. So, Teddy, this feels like the true coin flip. I suppose if you're going to give me plus 105 on the coin flip, I'd kind of have to take it. I don't think this will make my client card today, but my gut tells me we're going to see a Game 5 in this series.
Adam Trigger, everybody. Outstanding ad. Keep winning, brother. On a 5-0 run in Major League Baseball, what do you got to promote?
Well, I already talked about the 5% play. You know where to get that. I want to shout out our video team. I've got 30 college basketball previews going up from now until November 4th when the season tips off. We've already started to put them on the YouTube page.
Yep.
I know that our guys don't really have time to do this. So huge shout out to Joe, Dan, Kyle, Chris, Lexi for doing that for me, because we're going to end up with like 10 hours of preview of college basketball preview content. And it's all on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, all in one nice place. So it's going to help you out. I promise. I went to see all 30 teams that we're going to talk about in those previews in person at least once last year. I've got great guests coming on. So thank you to the video team, who I know doesn't really have time to do that. And check that out from now until tip off on November 4th.
Brilliant. And thank you, Ad, for doing it, brother. Teddy Covers, I got some stuff to talk about, but we just promoted with Adam, so we're going to take a promotion break. What did bettors learn?
Oh, no, I'm going to promote a little bit too, because I got a deal. I don't promote a lot. This is the deal if you want to get me, really. Use coupon code Teddy365 and get a 1-year pass down to $99 a month. So you'll save, close to $800? More than $800. If If I'm your guy, this is the play and this is the package to get on board with. Again, 1 year pass. Just visit my page, WT.buzz/TC. Use Teddy365 at checkout. And again, you'll save more than $800. This expires next Monday. So don't wait if you want to get on board. I'll talk about it again before this week is through. So what's our goal? Our goal is right side winners every time. The second goal is win more than your fair share of coin flips. Because as a handicapper, in theory, you're supposed to see the little edges, whether it's value, whether it's spot, whether it's matchup, doesn't matter. But in theory, you're supposed to win more than your fair share of coin flips and have as many right side winners as you can. In the NFL, lots and lots of games come down to essentially coin flips. And what's a coin flip? The reason that I started thinking about this was we had a discussion on Monday's show, Steelers-Cowboys. Was that a right side? Was Dallas the right side, or was that game a coin flip? And the Cowboys won the box score. They gained more yards than Pittsburgh. They had more first downs, all of that stuff. But they failed in the red zone. They made mistakes, and or the Steelers forced mistakes with their defense. And the game came down to a single play on fourth down for Dallas with 20 seconds left? Was Dallas a right side? Not in my mind, even though they won the box score. That was a coin flip game. You can make an argument Dallas was the right side that screwed up. I don't do that. I had 4 NFL games this past weekend, and all 4 felt like coin flips in the fourth quarter. I won 3 of them. Lucky? Good? Doesn't matter. Last night in baseball, I'm having a good playoffs, by the way, 67% here in the postseason. I had Dodgers-Padres first 5 over. The Padres got there by themselves in the bottom of the second. The Dodgers got there by themselves in the top of the third. That's what I'm trying for every time. That's what we all should be trying for every time. Right side winners. Of course, easier said than done in that regard. We'll take the coin flip cashes when we can as well. That's what I learned last night, Lawrence. How about you, my friend?
Well, Teddy, I'm not going to discuss the Dallas-Pittsburgh game. If you want to see what everybody thinks of your thoughts, go check the comment section on Monday's show. So one of our listeners called you Gollum, which I very much appreciated and agree with. So, guys, every NHL season at the end of this show, I do a penalty box segment where I give you guys a bunch of NHL bets. This year, we're not going to be doing that. This year, instead, at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 15 minutes before this show, I tape the penalty box segment. That way, I can make it a longer segment. Last week, I just raced through everything at 100 miles an hour and gave you guys like 3-4 bets without any analysis or thought. It took like 15 seconds. Today's video was 7 minutes long. I took apart every game on the board, and I plan on doing that every single day, Monday to Friday. That video will be up at WagerTalk TV imminently, so please check that out. I know so many of you guys follow that NHL penalty box segment. Now, with that said, I'm asking you guys, I want to break a sales record today, and it's about me. NHL is my sport. This is the sport that I absolutely crush regularly. Last year, regular season, 28 units of profit with my clients, 58% of all my bets I won. My money line bets in the NHL is the best bets I have, period, bar none. Last year's regular season, 37 wins, 21 losses, 64% in my money line bets in the NHL. I have a money line bet in the NHL up tonight. You guys can get it over at WagerTalk. It's only $15. But what I did was I went to the office and I said, guys, let's give out a first week promotion. So for the first week of NHL, you get 7 days, all my NHL plays for $49. I am asking, begging, pleading, and imploring you guys to pull out $49, buy that package. I kill it at the beginning of every NHL season. 2 years ago, I think I won my first 9 bets. So I love my play tonight. I love the start of the NHL season. It's only $49. I am begging you guys, let's get well into the hundreds of sales. We've already had a bunch this morning, so shout out to you guys who did that. Okay, done. Kyle Anthony joining us. Kyle! What's up, bro?
Nothing much, Prez. Nothing much. Great. That was good. It was good pitching. It was a little stiff, but I think you got your point across.
Well, listen, I'm no Steve Merrill, and if you want to have a laugh, watch yesterday's show where I literally spent 45 minutes making fun of Steve Merrill, his constant need to pitch. It's a disease. But it's one that I hope he doesn't cure. Anyway, UFC, my brother, this is your sport. You're killing it in this sport. We'll talk about that a little later. Let's get straight into it. We got Tierra against Royval. You like a plus 205 dog here. Tell us why.
Well, actually, that line's getting a little bit wider as we speak here, but we've got Tatsuro Taira here in the main event. He is really the hype train here, 16-0, 24 years old. And on the other side here, you've got Brandon Royval, who's going to be at that plus 220 mark as of right now. Now, you look at Taira, I mean, he definitely does have the goods when you're looking at it at this point. Young kid, but has high submission game, finishing ability, good grappling, and just really starting to put it together. His striking's starting to improve a little bit more as well. You're starting to see that. But when you look at Royval, there's definitely some things that he can really cause problems here for the Taira side. And I think the first part here is that Royval is really dangerous anywhere. He's dangerous on the feet. He's dangerous on the ground. He definitely, when you're talking about his striking, he's a slick southpaw, good pressure, good volume, very dynamic striker. And I think that's going to be something interesting when this plays out on the feet, that Taira kind of likes a little bit more clean kick. He's going to be aggressive, who's going to push forward and throw a lot of different types of shots. Now, on the grappling side of things, Taira definitely should have an advantage there. Often and two, you definitely have Royval who can compete there. The guy isn't opportunistic when it comes to his submission game. He also is good at scrambles, good at creating scrambles when he does have that opportunity. And then you look at strength of schedule, which I think is pretty wide. We were looking at it last 3 fights for Taira. He fought Edgar Chairez, who he beat 11-6, Carlos Hernandez, who's 9-4, and then his step up was against Alex Perez recently. And this was a fight where, hey, it's a step up. What's he going to do? In the first round, Perez won on every judge's scorecards, and in the second round, he blew out his knee. It goes to a TKO victory for Taira. But now you've got Royval, who has not lost to anybody but a champion or former champion. I think the experience is there. I think he's 32 years old. He's in his prime. I think that there's opportunity here. I'm going to watch this market, to your point, Prez, that this line now we're talking 220 at some books here. So we'll see where it goes. But I absolutely think the value is all going to be on Royval in this spot.
Royval, a live dog. If you look at the WagerTalk live on screen, you'll even see a plus 230 out there right now. So looks like money showing for the favorite. Kyle Anthony says the dog is live in the main event UFC here in Las Vegas on Saturday night. Let's talk about one of the undercard matches. Jonathan Pierce, Pat Sabatini. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Looks like some money's coming for Pierce. He's in the minus 155, minus 160 range now. You posted he was minus 140. So we're seeing money for the favorite. Do you agree or disagree with the money for Jonathan Pierce?
Yeah, this one's interesting because with Jonathan Pierce versus Pat Sabatini, this is a spot where there has been very interesting line movement. This, 2 weeks ago was you had Pierce was a minus 180. Then you had a lot of money coming in on Sabatini, got it down to about a minus 120. Then it came back. You've seen the buyback, minus 140, minus 150. And I do believe that the bias coming on the Pierce side was that he's coming off back-to-back losses. He got finished by Joe Anderson Brito. He got beat by David Onama. Not the greatest showing overall, but in this situation here, you've got guys that are both grapplers. So both these guys are going to be playing into each other's strengths here, where you've got Pierce is a guy who's going to look to wrestle, going to look to pressure, relentlessly shooting takedowns and cage pushing. And on the other side, you've got Sabatini, who's a guy that's really going to look to, utilize his jiu-jitsu, get this to the ground and have that submission opportunity. But the big advantage here for Pierce is going to be the fact that he weaponizes his pace very well. He's going to push forward. He's going to smother. He's going to push you up against the fence. He's going to make it dirty, and he's going to keep doing that. And that's something that he will not get away from. He averages over 10 takedown attempts per 15 minutes, and he averages 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. So it's a path he's going to go to and a path that he's going to keep. Now, the way I think it works out is that he gets some of these takedowns, but Sabatini is comfortable on his back, which I think doesn't play out well for him here. He's going to be fine looking for submissions off of his back, but I do think Pierce can smother it, stay safe, bank rounds, and really work on the judges' scorecard here. And lastly, even the striking, I do favor Pierce there. I think he's got better striking combinations. I think that Pat Sabatini is hittable and also been rocked multiple times here. So I agree now with the buyback here. I think the minus 140 is still a good number here, and I think he gets the job done.
Kyle Anthony, everyone. Guys, Kyle is rolling, and we say this every week because he really never stops rolling. 19-5 in your last 12 months of 4% plays, and you've got one up on Saturday. I should just throw it in for free if they buy my $49 package. Okay, I won't mess you up, Kyle. But that was so Steve Merrill of me. I literally turned that entire thing about me. Okay. Go ahead. What do you got to promote?
Thanks. Great. That was a great pass off to me. Coming off, to your point, Prez, coming off a nice weekend. We cashed another 5% best bet, 12-0 on those. And even on the 4% over the last 12 months, 19-5. We've cashed 80% of UFC events this year. We're up nearly 100 units of profit this year. And again, we're finding opportunities, putting our money in strong positions, beating market moves, and finding those plus money spots. Again, we had 4 of them last weekend. So going to keep doing it. And you can see the pack up now, and we're going to keep adding to those profits.
Awesome. Now get out of here. You got some women waiting for you. Kyle Anthony, everyone. Teddy covers, still lots of show left. Art DiCesare is going to be joining us. You got your big game breakdown. I have my daily presidential address. And guys, what NFL game do you want me to talk about? We know what you're going to talk about, Theodore. Let's go.
Big game breakdown. And it's a weird game on Fox this Friday night because both teams are coming off losses to the same opponent. That doesn't happen every day. Maryland minus 10, total 46.5 against Northwestern. We've seen some over money in the last 24 hours. This total was as low as 45.5 last night. So 2 weeks ago, Indiana beat Maryland. There was a tied game in the third quarter, and then the Hoosiers pulled away, and then Maryland went on by. And then last week, Northwestern lost to Indiana. Same story. It was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. Indiana with 2 late touchdowns. They ended up winning by 17. So tight losses for both these two teams against the same opponent in their last game. We look at the recent series last year. Northwestern was good enough to beat Maryland, 33-27. Maryland won 31-24 in 2022. So each of the last 2 meetings decided by a touchdown or less. 2020, 43-3 Northwestern. You know what we do with 2020 results at this stage? We throw them out. We don't even worry about it. That being said, 4 meetings as conference foes at 37-21. Northwestern won in 2017 as well. Who cares? Not worried about that. Bottom line is Maryland has not beaten Northwestern in any of these games by more than a touchdown. Northwestern's offense is getting better. The defense has been pretty good all year. The offense struggled mightily early in the season. Feels like they found their quarterback in Jack Losh. Head coach Braun quote, "I'm so stinking excited about the progression we're seeing out of Jack." And certainly this is an offense that is getting better. The defense pretty good. Maryland's got explosive playmakers, big time. That's been the Terps' MO in the Mike Locksley era. That being said, they're banged up. Safety Dante Trader and wideouts Ty Felton and Caden Prather all banged up during their bye. Locksley said, quote, I'm thinking all three will be good to go. We did a procedure on one of the three where it just depends on how it takes. Of course, Felton leaves the Big Ten in receptions and receiving yards. Prather's a secondary threat. You know, these are not minor players for Maryland. And when the coach isn't telling us yet about how healthy they are, it is something of a concern. That being said, I do not trust Locksley to cover this game in this point spread range. Relatively low total tells us the markets don't think Maryland's offense is going to go off in this game. And frankly, side and total here are at least modestly related. Northwestern correlates with under, Maryland with over. I'll go with a Northwestern under correlation for this one. That's the way I'm looking on Friday night. Talked about it a little bit earlier. I want to talk about it again. If you want to get a package, I always say don't buy a play, buy a package. This is a pricey package. Look, it's $99 a month and it's for a full year. So it's $1,188. That being said, you get every play every day for a full year of Teddy covers. If you want to get on board with me, this is the deal to do it. Plain and simple. Promo code Teddy365 at checkout. This offer expires next Monday. You got a couple days to put it together if you want to get on board. Again, Teddy365 at checkout. $99 a month, every play, every day for the next year. Check it out if you're interested. Again, this is the package to get. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Or if you buy my $49 package, I'll just send you Teddy's plays for a year.
There you go.
I'm killing myself today, Teddy. Art DiCesare joining us. Art, welcome, my friend. How are you? Oh, wait, before you say a word, I was kidding. I don't want to be held to sending Teddy's plays for a year. Not because I don't want to, but because I'm too damn lazy to do it. What's up, brother Art?
What's up, fellas? Good to be here as always.
Oh, my dude, it is our privilege to have you on. And I like having you on Wednesdays because it you know, we talk in the past and we talk in the future, and it's that kind of middle day, if you will. And because by Friday, who cares what happened last week? So thanks for joining us every Wednesday. Teddy covers, grab some info out of him while I sit back and listen. And also, Teddy, ask the audience for some likes.
Sure. If you like the show, please give us a like. Please give us a follow. More than 175,000 subscribers now on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. And of course, the comments below. Prez doesn't know what game he wants to talk about. Tell him what game he should talk about.
We're going to do Pittsburgh.
Arthur DiCesare.
Pittsburgh Raiders.
Okay, great. Let's talk to Arthur DiCesare now. You go away for a couple minutes. Arthur, let the grown-ups have a discussion, Prez. It's okay.
Oh, blah, blah.
Art, so it felt like last week, after the books did so well the first couple of weeks, feels like the bettors got some back last Sunday, and maybe even last Saturday too. Was that the case at the Westgate? What were your biggest decisions on Saturday in college football? What were your biggest decisions on Sunday/Monday in the NFL? And how'd you make out overall for the weekend?
I think it's accurate to say, Teddy, yes, it kind of came back a little bit. Obviously, we had crushed it the first couple of weeks. Saturday was funny. It wasn't like it's one of those where, like, we won a little bit, we didn't lose. You know, it's just kind of one of those where, like, we had the day we had, we booked the games we booked, and there really wasn't anything decision-wise that was going to swing our day. When we got to Sunday, we started off early, and the Bengal-Raven game was the big game early in the morning. We had a lot of money on Baltimore. Baltimore seemed to be in a lot of straight bets, a lot of money line bets, and there was a lot going on with Baltimore in, money line parlays. Same thing can be said with Jacksonville. We took a pretty good size money line bet on Jacksonville. So early in the day, it wasn't going well for us. The afternoon kind of seemed to be the same thing. We made up for a little bit on Monday. We had a lot of Saint money that had trickled in all week. And then we saw some late respected money that came in on Kansas City. So we were actually happy that we were booking that way a little bit. So now, did we get all the money we needed back on Monday from Sunday? No. But, when you end it with Monday and a good result, it kind of cushions the blow from what was a bad Sunday.
So it was a bad Sunday, but not a disaster. Monday made up for it a little bit. Saturday, it's kind of a kiss your sister sort of a day. Did the Vandy, Alabama, was that upset? Did that have any results, any significant impact on your day or not really? Anyone have Vandy on the money line?
No, not really. There was like a couple of $10, $20 tickets. So nothing crazy, nothing that you're going to have to put in a report at the end of the night. So, I know a lot of people were reaching out about that. Even friends of mine were like, oh my God, did you have anyone who bet big on, Vanderbilt money line? It's like, no, not really. So that one was, it was a fun result and it kind of blew up everyone's day, but it didn't do anything for us.
So I want to talk about some weeknight games, some college football action, some NFL. But first, Robert Saleh gets fired for the Jets. Has that impacted the number any way, shape, or form? That's the big news over the last 24 hours when it comes to football information. From a betting standpoint, does it matter?
I think it did a little bit. This is what I'll say. Before that news broke, when we're sitting there on Monday, it was a little bit of Bill money that came in. Bills were sitting there 2.5, and then they got to 3. And it wasn't like we took crazy sharp money on it. Just the market was kind of moving that way. And then Saleh gets fired, and now it's back to 2.5. So, it got the Jet number off 3, at least for us. So, I'm probably most of the places around town and around the world. So, I think it did have a little bit of an impact, yes.
Interesting. So, weeknight college football, we've got a game tonight. We've got 3 games tomorrow. We've got 3 more games on Friday. Now that we have, 57 days of football in a row, do these weeknight games start to build up some momentum for you? Do you start to get good action on the New Mexico State, Jacksonville State games, or not so much? And if you are getting action, talk about where the money's flowing on some of these weeknight football games.
I think the matchup, for most things is going to dictate what happens, money coming over the counter and everything. A game like tonight's not going to draw that much because you got to remember, too, hockey has started. You got playoff baseball, which is awesome. So there are other things for bettors to make wagers on. Just looking at games that are not on Saturday. The Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee State, that's seen incredible two-way action. They laid 4, 4.5. That got to as high as 5 on Middle Tennessee State, and then there was the buy on Middle Tennessee State at 5.5 and 5. So we've seen 2 groups kind of take sides. One took Middle Tennessee State, one took Louisiana Tech. Now we're sitting there at 4.5. And then the Friday night game, Utah, we opened 4, they laid 4. It's now sitting -6.5 at Arizona State. So as far as the Thursday, Friday type games, those are the 2 games that have seen the most action and the most movement.
We've got about 5 minutes left here with Art DiCesare, risk management supervisor over at the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas, at ArtDice21 on Twitter. He is an excellent follow. If you're not following him, follow him now, ArtDice21 on Twitter. So, Art, we talked a little weeknight football. I got to touch on MLB as well, MLB postseason. We see in action. Is it quiet? And talk about the 4 games today.
No, Teddy, you're right. We have to. And it's not quiet. People love this playoff baseball. First of all, let's be real. It's good. It's good drama. It's good television. You get some early day games, so people like to bet the games. We've seen a lot of home money today. Mets were basically even money overnight. So all these games were basically pick 'em. Mets were basically even money overnight. They've now shifted to -115, so Met money came in. The Tiger game, same thing. Pick 'em -105, both sides. A little bit of Tiger money. The Royals have seen a lot of money too. Not that we've seen sharp money, but we've seen the public come in and want to take the short plus money on Kansas City. And the Padres, who are the biggest favorite on the board, sitting, -130, -135, have seen money as well. So all the home teams have taken money, and I would say the team that has taken the most money out of the 4 is the New York Mets.
Art DiCesare joining us. Art, in the immortal words of the great Teddy Covers, who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like? Who do you like in NFL this week?
Yeah, we got to get to the NFL, right? Public is on the Bears in London. They're laying the short number, -2. Also, too, once they get into that type of mode, they're going to lay the money line, and the Bears will probably start a lot of money line parlays in London versus Jacksonville. Another team that's going to be in all the money lines and all the teasers is the Eagles. If we could ever get the Browns to win that game, it'd be huge for us because the Browns have looked so putrid that now the public is jumping on going against them. So Bears and Eagles, big public sides this week. Get to the sharp sides. They laid 2.5 with the Chargers at Denver. It's now 3. They took the under in the Steelers-Raiders, 37.5, now 36.5. I feel that would even probably tick a little bit lower. I could see 36, maybe 35.5. They also took the over in the London game, 43, now 45. And they're back to, or not that they're back because they took Carolina all year, but the Sharps have turned on Carolina. They're not going against Carolina. Atlanta at Carolina, -5, now -6. After the first 3 weeks, they were on Carolina. Now they're off of Carolina.
Art, I want to throw a question out at you, I guess, conceptually. We got 2 big totals this week. We got Washington and Baltimore, which was 42.5 and has now been bet down. We have Detroit and Dallas at 42 across the board. In these situations, are you finding that the Joes are going over, the pros are going under? Or is it vice versa? Like, what happens with these big totals normally?
Big totals normally, and we've talked about this probably for years, since I've been coming on, there is going to be a resistance number. And once the Sharps find the number that's too high, they're going to take the under. They always say they don't bet teams, they don't bet spots, they bet numbers. So now I will say this about Raven games. Raven games have been kind of, last week, especially against Cincinnati, they were betting the over like crazy in that game. So there was a lot of money that came in on the over, and they scored basically 70 points in the game. So I understand why the Sharps kind of wait to see if the public can push a number up, and then they come back on the over. And listen, it's real. And even my friends I talk to who are just, regular people who like to put a couple dollars down, on an NFL Sunday or college football Saturday, they don't want to bet unders. All they want to do is bet overs. They want to have fun. They don't want to watch 13-10. They want to watch 31-28. So that's why you see so much public money come in on these overs.
One final question before we let you go, Art DiCesare. We haven't talked college football Saturday, and I want to know that same basic question. Who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like? Who does Art DiCesare on Saturday?
Let's go to the public once again. LSU, Ole Miss, they're taking the over. High total, offenses should be flying over 63.5. They're taking USC +5.5 at home against Penn State. Interesting. I mean, listen, the public doesn't know. They just see USC getting 5.5 at home. USC is awful, despite what they did earlier in the year here against LSU. And then Colorado has taken a ton of points. That market has totally come down on Colorado, and we didn't really take any sharp money on Colorado. It's more been public players and the market moving with Colorado getting all those points at home against Kansas State. Sharps laid 4.5 with New Mexico against Air Force. Air Force is terrible. They laid 4.5, now 6.5. They took under Stanford and Notre Dame, 46.5, now 45. They took over in the UNC Pitt game, over 57, now 59. They also laid 4 with UTSA at Rice. That is now 5. That's all sharp action. If you need a college game out of me, I like LSU at home getting 3.5. I think they're better than Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is kind of a fraud. I like getting the points at home.
Boom! Art DiCesare. Done. In the bag. What do you got to promote, my friend?
The Westgate guys, come down, check us out. Plenty going on. We'll have our NBA wins total contest switches up. NBA season, preseason's already started, so that's right around the corner. And then listen, I wasn't on last Saturday. I know a lot of people reached out, but I'll be on every Saturday moving forward. Last call with Kelly, doing all the college football stuff. Just kind of had a scheduling thing last week, but moving forward, I'll be doing all that stuff with Kelly an hour before kickoff for college football, so you get up to date, kind of information on where the money's flowing in and kind of what the numbers are doing early on a Saturday morning.
There we go, Art DiCesare. Teddy covers. What do we do now?
You say thank you, Art. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us. We say goodbye to our audience. Thank you for watching WagerTalk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games and best of luck with your bets. Stay tuned right now for Lawrence's presidential address.
It's time for your daily presidential address, and voted by the group that watched WagerTalk Today, we're going to talk about Pittsburgh against the Raiders. Before we get into that, I just want to shout out everybody who bets NHL. Guys, for the first week of the NHL season, I got a promo up. You get 7 days of all my NHL plays for only $49. That is a steal. It's a deal. Take advantage of it. It's going to be a wonderful week. Okay, Pittsburgh, -3 against the Raiders. Now, I'm mad at myself for not taking the under Sunday night against Dallas with Pittsburgh, and we're not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to look to take the under in every single Steeler game all year long, except this one. Although I do like the under here, I actually prefer a side. Let's get into it. Again, against an injury-riddled Cowboy D unit who has shown itself to be, well, pretty damn bad, Fields was back to his Chicago days, going 14 for 25, putting up 138 yards. And yes, although he did have 2 touchdowns, Fields stinks. Pickens, who is supposedly always open, he had 2 catches for 29 yards. Way to go, Arthur Smith. Excellent game plan. Even though Pittsburgh D caused 3 turnovers against Dallas, they allowed a 60% third down conversion rate. That's horrible. The week before against Indy, 53% third down conversion rate. With that said, the Raiders are not Indy or Dallas, but we're still getting 3 points at home in a game that the Raiders, I think, can win outright. I know the Raiders have issues. I get it. They just got beaten bad by the Broncos, but this team has put up 18, 20, 22, and 26 points in their last 4 games. And most importantly, and hugely key in this handicap, Antonio Pierce doesn't lose back-to-back games. They started the season losing to the Chargers, then they beat Baltimore. They then lost to Carolina, whooped Cleveland. Now they lost to the Broncos. I think they beat Pittsburgh. Now, I want to bet the under here, but I'm worried about how bad this Raiders defense is. Although I don't think Pittsburgh can take advantage of that, we could see a 24-20 type of game. What are we going to do? We're going to take the home dog, hold our breath, and make sure that we pray for no turnovers. I think Vegas wins this game outright. I'm getting 3 points. I'm getting them at home. That's where we're going. We're taking Las Vegas plus the 3. Guys, the NFL presidential address is up at WagerTalk TV. Every game on the board, I take apart. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.